Most stories begin with a birth. But this one begins with a disappearance. Not of a man, but of a homeland. Overnight, it became part of something else, a nation absorbed by an empire far beyond its borders. I came here to meet a man they call His Holiness, but I didn't know what I was really looking for. Maybe peace, maybe clarity, maybe just something that couldn't be taken away. In 1959, a young monk disguised himself as a soldier and vanished into the night. He crossed the Himalayas with nothing but breath in his chest and the weight of a nation on his back. That boy became a man. That man became a voice. And that voice carried a people who refused to disappear. I'd read about Dharamsala. I'd seen the pictures, the protests, the prayer flags. But no one tells you what it feels like to breathe here. The air doesn't carry anger, it carries intention. Everyone here lost something, a village, a brother, a language. But no one moves like they're broken. It wasn't old Tibet, and it wasn't modern India. It was something stitched together from both, a fragile kind of permanence. Even the smallest things here had meaning. Everything had a reason. But I wasn't sure I did. Everyone talked about the Dalai Lama, like he was everywhere. In the tea, in the air, in the silence. But I hadn't seen him yet. I didn't even know if I would.
Tibet belongs to one world, one dream. One world, one dream.
For centuries, Tibet lived in isolation, high, remote, and fiercely spiritual. Its leaders were monks, its capital, a monastery in the mountains. The Dalai Lama wasn't just a symbol, he was the head of state. In 1950, China invaded. They called it liberation, but for Tibetans, it was occupation. For nearly a decade, the Dalai Lama tried to hold peace, but by 1959, the streets of Lhasa were no longer silent. You can read about it in a book, but watching it happen, even through grainy footage, you realize it wasn't just a political crisis. It was the unraveling of a world. On the night of March 17th, 1959, the 14th Dalai Lama slipped out of the city, dressed in a soldier's uniform, shielded by the night. With nothing but breath in his chest and the weight of a nation on his back, he crossed into India, and just like that, Tibet was no longer a place. It became a memory. More than 6,000 monasteries were destroyed in the years that followed. Entire lineage of Buddhist knowledge gone.
I take this opportunity to thank the people of the world, Buddhist and non-Buddhist, who have given help and sympathy to my people and to myself in this time of our sorrow and disaster. I want to say nothing that might evoke ill feelings, but most of you know what has happened and is happening in Tibet. Your sympathy has given us, the Tibetan people and myself, great consolation, encouragement, and hope in these days of our suffering.
And yet, the teaching survived. Not in temples, but in suitcases. They didn't just carry their pain. They carried the teachings, not on scrolls, but in how they lived. In Tibetan Buddhism, death is not an ending, it's a return. When a great teacher passes, the search begins, not for someone new, but for the one who has come back. The search may begin in dreams. It may follow signs, a name spoken by an oracle, a reflection in water, until finally, a child is found. That child was Tenzin Gyatso, the 14th Dalai Lama. I thought reincarnation was a metaphor, but here it was a method, not mysticism, but memory passed through lifetimes. To the people of Tibet, he was not a new child. He was the return of wisdom, of compassion made visible again. But now, the very process that found him may not be allowed to find the next one. The Chinese government insists it has the final word, that the next Dalai Lama must be born under their authority, that his soul must ask for permission. If the wrong child is chosen, the lineage fractures. The teachings continue, but the torchbearer vanishes. The light remains, but without the hand to carry it. Some say the next Dalai Lama may not be born in Tibet at all. Others say he may choose not to return. But maybe the question now isn't who he'll be, but whether the world will recognize him when he comes. In most traditions, silence is sacred. But here, wisdom begins with noise. I had heard of Tibetan monk debates, but nothing prepares you for the sound. It's not violent. It's electric, like the sky cracking open to let a truth through. This is Gyatso Monastery, one of the most sacred seats in tantric learning in Tibetan Buddhism. Here, debate is not an argument, it's a meditation. It is action. It is memory made verbal.
What's actually happening on behind me is all the monks are debating about today's lesson plan. After they're done talking, they always clap their hands to state that they finished their statement.
I thought debate was about proving someone wrong, but here, it felt like sculpting a thought in midair. every word, every gesture shaped the space between them. This method began centuries ago in the monasteries of Lhasa, passed down through the Gelug lineage. The Yellow Hat School founded by Tsongkhapa in the 14th century. Even the Dalai Lama was trained in this way. In exile, everything has to work harder to survive. Culture becomes memory, tradition becomes responsibility, and even debate becomes an act of resistance.
Most desperate right now in Tibet, the monasteries and nunneries have been shut down because of the China won't let them come out, all the monks and nuns. There's many people having difficulties to survive right now.
In Tibet today, many of these practices are restricted or closely watched. But here, on the edge of India, they still raise their voices. It was the most disciplined chaos I had ever seen, and it made me wonder, how many answers have we lost simply because no one asked the right question? After the debates came the dance. And that's when I realized not all traditions are carried in silence or thunder. Some are carried in rhythm, in family, in joy. In Dharamsala, culture isn't confined to temples or books. It lives in the streets, in steps remembered from a home they can no longer return to, and taught to those born in exile. There is no textbook for this kind of preservation, no manual for how to hold on when your entire country has been taken, and yet they do. Culture isn't just what you protect, it's what you practice, and every step here is a quiet act of defiance, a reminder that exile is not the same as erasure. This was more than a celebration. It was a path, paved in color, sound, and faith, leading right to the man they call His Holiness. I did not know what I'd say if I met him. I only knew I was ready to listen.
So refugees, wherever they live, they should think more. We are same human being. Otherwise, we are refugee. We are something, different than local people. Then that, unnecessarily, create some frustration. So don't think that. After all, whole world, our home, and 7 billion human beings, our brothers, our sisters. So, should think that way, then, wherever you go, human home, human beings' home. We believe limitless life. So some home in other galaxies. So we do not think just one lifetime home is something very important. We don't think that.
There are few moments in your life when you feel something shift. Before anything is said, this was one of those moments.
This is amazing. You ready for this? Afro, you ready for this? Let's go.
I was walking towards the home of the 14th Dalai Lama, a man who had already changed the world, by refusing to become like it. Born Tenzin Gyatso in 1935, he was recognized at the age of 2 as a reincarnation of the 13th Dalai Lama, trained in the Gelug tradition, crowned in Lhasa, and forced to flee across the Himalayas when the Chinese army invaded in 1959. He crossed into India with nothing but robes and resolve, and in Dharamsala built a nation without borders. There were no gold thrones, no armies, just people waiting for a glimpse. Some cried, some smiled, and yet the silence said more than words could ever. I didn't know what I'd say if I met him. I only knew I would listen. And I did meet him. No cameras rolling, no script, just a moment, just presence. And in that silence, I felt something inside me go still. I came with a question I couldn't even name. But what I walked away with wasn't an answer. It was a shift, a soft turning inward. They tried to erase his country. They couldn't erase his presence. He didn't speak to me like a leader. He didn't need to. What he embodied said everything. And maybe that's the real transmission. Not the words, but the stillness between them. Not who he is, but who we become after being in the presence of someone who chose love when hatred would have been easier. You spend all this time searching, and then you realize it's not about what you found. It's about how you leave. I didn't get all the answers, but maybe answers were never the point. You can't pack a place like this. You just let it pass through you, and then you carry it. The photo will fade, so will I. But something passed between us, and I'll carry that quietly, where no one can take it. I used to think enlightenment was a destination, but now I think it's something softer, like a turning, like a wheel. The mountain remembers, even if the map forgets, even if the world forgets. May all sentient beings be free of suffering. Afro Buddha.